joining the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. We'll start off with thought of the day, again in memory of Greg and his thoughts of the day. Same one that we had last meeting, but most of you have not heard it. Every May, drivers at the Indianapolis 500 kneel down to kiss the bricks, a yard of original pavement laid in 1909. Still there at the start-finish line. Those bricks remind us that even the fastest cars in the world will race on a foundation built by hands long ago. The Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis is one of those foundations. For 110 years, the members who came before us laid the bricks of service that this community still runs on. And today, our job is simply to add a few more. Happy birthday to Roger and Eric. Congratulations on your 24th. And then I also, he's not here today, but I'd like to mention Mike Halstead has reached milestone 30 years in service to the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis. So congratulations, Mike, if you see this. Steve, we have the new member that if you could present a certificate to present.
Well, I'd like to introduce Jim Martin. Jim is not new to Kiwanis. He has a history with Key Club at least.
Yep, so I started with Key Club when I was a sophomore in high school and went through the program there, did Kiwanis after graduation, was a member up in Wisconsin for a number of years. When I moved back to Indianapolis, with two little kids, I didn't have much time on my hand. Now that they're a little older and I'm working more downtown, it's just a natural organization to join again. It's a great cause.
And you're with?
I'm with R.W. Baird, an investment firm.
Well, welcome to the club.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Jim. Welcome. If anyone is interested in shaping our club's efforts, please reach out to me or Wendy Paddock. She will be stepping into our club president's role on October 1st and is inviting club members to join her on the board. Save the third Thursday monthly on your calendars for our Columbia Club lunches. So that'd be June 18th, my birthday. So bring gifts. July 16th and August 20th. We are confirming the dates for IPS Foundation Kelly Riley and Indy Health District's Jamal Smith to highlight the major investment in Crispus Attucks High School, including a state-of-the-art Health Academy lab. 1996 APE scholar Mike Fabrable is interested in speaking to us about the Indiana Disability Alliance, a new statewide coalition dedicated to advancing policies to promote independence, inclusion, and opportunity for people with disabilities and their families across the state. Then on September 20th, Graham Honecker is arranged for pianist Claire Longendijk to join us. That's, again, Thursday, September 20th. And then the snow will be flying, and we're just repeat all this again. Jay Brill is working on a field trip to the Speedway Museum in October, along with the Wawasee Kiwanis Club. If you have not been to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum in a while, it is spectacular. They did a great job, well worth shutting it down for a year and a half. If there's a topic or individual anybody would like to hear from, please join the programs committee so we can lock in dates for these meetings for the remainder of the year. Mary Volk.
Hello, everyone. So social suppers, the next one is Thursday this time, 4th of June. We don't have a Zoom meeting. It's gonna be in Speedway, so everybody's gonna be going from Speedway since it's gonna be June at Borage. Jay Brill is coordinating it. So you should have received an email from him. Just respond back if you want to go to Borage at 5:30 in Speedway. And then in July, is gonna be Juniper on Main. We were there a couple of years ago, so we're gonna go back, on the first day of July. That's it.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
Update on our service leadership programs, Roger.
Yeah.
A couple of easy announcements. At the foundation board meeting yesterday, it was suggested by one of our club members that we give a small token gift to our faculty advisors for our SLPs. So we have 4 key clubs, we have 2 builders clubs. So we've got a card, we've got a $100 gift certificate for each one. These guys are involved all year long with us. Work with these kids, they go after events for out of school. So it's the least we can do. And there's some cards in the back table. We may try to circulate them. So just please sign it if you want to. We're going to give those to the kids or the faculty advisors, let them know how much they pick up. So that was awesome. My next item, next Friday, next Monday will be our normal lunch day at Iozo's. We're gonna switch it to Friday the 29th. If you can come and join us. It's a holiday week, I know that, but Bill's gonna be there with me, so there'll at least be 2 of us. I'm sure I can drag my wife, so. And Chuck will be there, so. We almost got a forum. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Roger. Steve, it looks like I'm bouncing you back up here.
Thanks. I'll just make a quick comment on the service leadership programs. I think it's great that we're giving a little thank you to the advisors there, because we have another new member joining the club, Natalie Wessels, and she's the past CKI International Secretary. Went to Bowling Green State, and she was saying that, you know, having an advisor in place is really key to the club continuing. So I think it's important we recognize those folks. Natalie will be at a future meeting. She just started a job in Broad Ripple, but lives on the south side, but her dad works at Simon, so we'll try to get maybe both of them to the meeting here soon. But I'm up here to talk about the scholarship committee. We're gonna meet via Zoom on the 28th and discuss all of our scholarships. So we're kind of through the scholarship season that really starts with football, and then it goes to Abe Lincoln, then girls basketball, boys basketball, and the female athlete award. So in total, we gave out, I think, 88,000 in scholarships this past year. And as we evaluate the honorees, we continue to have discussions about the purpose of some of these scholarships. And you know, many of them were created back in an era when there was no such thing as a 4.5 GPA, or athletes that now are eligible to have the high school version of name, image, and likeness. So it's really changing the purpose, I think, of some of our financial awards, and we want to discuss should some of them shift to needs-based or have another criteria, kind of like the football has the Great Player Award. So we're going to be having that discussion on May 28th. One of the key discussions is what academic excellence means. And so as we've talked informally to high school administrators, they feel that we should broaden our definition of academic excellence to not just be GPA and to give other things consideration. So that'll be part of the discussion, and everyone is welcome to participate. I think there are 6 or 8 of us on the scholarship committee, including Chuck. Thanks.
Thank you. Roy's Indy was awarded $50,000 in scholarships to 22 graduating IPS seniors last Friday. We had a group representing Kiwanis at the lunch, since our foundation provided a grant to support these $50,000 in scholarships. The 2025 annual report is hot off the press. You should have received a mailed copy. We hope you enjoy reading about the accomplishments in 2025 and know that you've touched many young people in the Indianapolis community and given them a chance to achieve their dreams and potential through your support and involvement in the Kiwanis, Indianapolis Kiwanis Club Foundation. You can find an online version on the website if you haven't gotten it at home, and you can share that with potential members, donors, and foundation supporters. Last year, our foundation awarded $144,000 in community impact grants, $82,000 in scholarships were awarded to Marion County students, $24,000 in service leadership programs, key clubbers, and 225 students were engaged in our service leadership programs. 13 non-for-profits were supported through these grants. So your continued support of our club foundation is needed and appreciated. Eric isn't here, right? Okay. I think I'm introducing the speaker. Dr. Richard Gunderman, Chancellor Professor John A. Campbell Professor of Radiology and Vice Chair of Education for the Department of Radiology and Imaging Sciences at IU School of Medicine, my former job. Not really. Wabash College graduate, 179th President of the Indiana State Medical Association. That's been around a while. 10-time recipient of the Indiana University Trustees Teaching Award and an author. Please welcome our speaker, Dr. Richard Gunderman.
Well, thanks. It's a treat to be here today. I'm not a historian. I have written several books of history, but I'm not a professional historian. But I think you probably are aware that this month marks the 150th anniversary of the founding of perhaps the most important private corporation in the history of the state of Indiana, which is Eli Lilly and Company, founded in 1876 on May the 10th. So we're very close to the sesquicentennial. And I just want to remind you that Eli Lilly and Company is the world's most valuable health company. Johnson & Johnson would be its closest competitor as a pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturer. It has about half the market capitalization. And the nation's largest hospital system, United Healthcare, is about a quarter of the size of Eli Lilly and Company. So there's no health company in the world that approaches the value of Eli Lilly and Company. And related to that is the fact that the nation's largest private philanthropy is, of course, the Lilly Endowment, with assets roughly of $90 billion. That's bigger than the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, for example, which used to hold that title. So, and as you know, a great deal of Lilly Endowment's giving has been earmarked for our city and our state. They're very unusual in that a third of their giving is earmarked for what we might call religion or faith, which is highly unusual among large private philanthropies in the United States. And the huge size of Eli Lilly and Company and the Lilly Endowment reflect something of their founder, which is my topic today, namely Colonel Eli Lilly, who led a really fascinating life. It was on Pearl Street. Maybe you know Pearl Street is technically the first street south of Washington Street. It's hardly a street at all now, but that's the street on which Eli Lilly and Company was founded 150 years ago. So we're very close to where Eli Lilly started the business in 1876. You can see that marker today if you wanted. And I just want to talk about 7 aspects of the Eli Lilly story. Obviously, there's a great deal more to be said. We could talk about his son Josiah, J.K., the grandsons Eli and Joe, but we'll focus today on Colonel Eli Lilly because he's the one who started it. And I want to start out by telling you that he came from a very strongly Methodist family. He was born the first of 11 children in Baltimore, Maryland. They then moved to Kentucky and then moved to Greencastle, Indiana, where Eli Lilly studied at Indiana Asbury College, now known as DePaul University. Asbury was the first Methodist bishop in the United States, hence the name of the institution before it changed to DePaul. Anybody recognize that building? Yeah, that's East Hall, which is the oldest building on the DePaul University campus today, and still the site of many important ceremonies in the life of the university. And as Methodists, the Lilly family were strongly prohibitionist, opposed to alcohol, strongly abolitionist, even more so, opposed to slavery, and really had a Methodist attitude toward managing money. Namely that you and I are not really the owners of our resources, our houses, our investment portfolios. From the standpoint of John Wesley, one of the founders of Methodism, we are, let's say, stewards of what has been temporarily entrusted to us. And Wesley famously said, earn all you can, save all you can, and give all you can. And I think you could argue that the Lillys managed to do that pretty successfully. So we'll go on to the second of 7 topics, which is Eli Lilly as druggist. So as a teenager, he visited the Good Samaritan drugstore in Lafayette, Indiana, and was very impressed by what he saw, and undertook a 5-year apprenticeship in that business, eventually becoming a pharmacist. And even more importantly, from his point of view, Eli Lilly learned to manage funds and operate a business, skills that turned out to be very important. That's an artist's representation of Eli Lilly just outside the door as a teenager, as people came and went. So he then really moved around quite a bit. He worked at Spencer & Sons Retail in Lafayette, Perkins & Coons, a retail pharmacy here in Indianapolis, went back to Greencastle, and then in 1861, he opened his own drugstore in Greencastle. That same year, he married his first wife, Emily Lemon. Her name, by the way, should be spelled L-E-M-E-N. I apologize for the typo. And his attitude as a druggist, and certainly what he founded the company, was take what you find here and make it better and better. So, and he did that in a number of respects, as we'll see. For example, inventing gelatin-coated tablets, inventing fruit flavoring for medicines, things like that. So now we come to the third category, which is why he's called Colonel. As you know, the Civil War breaks out in 1861 when shots are fired where? Fort Sumter. Where's that? Yeah, just off the coast of Charleston, South Carolina. Reputed to be the best city in the United States to visit. Next time you're in Charleston, South Carolina, please take the little boat ride over to Fort Sumter and see where it all started. So Eli Lilly, a very patriotic person, served first in the Putnam Rifles the 21st Regiment of Indiana Volunteers, and was in Baltimore Harbor, by the way, the town of his birth, and felt that he wasn't really contributing much. So he came back to Indiana in 1862 to form an artillery unit, and he was the captain of 150 men. And here you can see the posters that apparently could be found all over Indianapolis back then. Eli Lilly recruiting people to join his regiment. Here he is with one of his fellow officers in the Civil War. He fought in some of the major battles of the Civil War, including Hoover's Gap, the Second Battle of Chattanooga, and Chickamauga, the second bloodiest battle in the Civil War. In 1864, he joins the 9th Indiana Cavalry as a major, and he and some of his troops are captured at the Battle of Sulphur Creek. And those conditions are miserable. Prisoners of war of the Confederate Army. In 1865, he's promoted to colonel and then mustered out as a lieutenant colonel. But I want to read some of his words. First, a letter he received from a soldier who served with him at one of those battles. He said, "You don't know me and I don't know you, but there's no doubt we stood together on the field of battle and helped each other. I remember like yesterday, the smoke from my gun blowing across my line of sight. I couldn't see. I called someone to watch out for me, and I remember them calling back and telling me how to adjust the fire of my gun. And when we did that, we were able to explode the enemy's caisson. I remember your commanding officer, Jim Monroe, and his men supporting my battery, and what a hero he was. He gathered me up in his arms and hugged me after we won the fight." So that's Colonel Eli Lilly talking about how he and a soldier that he'd never met in his lifetime collaborated in a way that enabled the Union forces to win a battle. So for him, his service in the military was an extremely formative experience that I think shaped him for the rest of his life. Here he is writing to the Confederate commander Nathan Forrest, who was demanding that Lilly and his troops surrender. This is what Eli Lilly wrote in response. "You demand me to make surrender under terms no honorable soldier would accept. We admit our heavy loss, but we feel we've done you as much harm as you've done us. And before we surrender under the terms you name, you will have to ride over the dead bodies of every man I have before you take us." So this is an indication that Colonel Eli Lilly is a person of great resolve. He was willing to risk everything rather than surrender under terms he deemed unfavorable. Now he does, of course, end up in Confederate captivity, so he doesn't escape that fate. By the way, he is a captive, a prisoner of war in the state of Mississippi, which will turn out to be important very soon. So after the Civil War, he decides to start a plantation in the state of Mississippi. In 1866, his pregnant wife, Emily, dies of malaria. She's 8 months pregnant at the time, and their 8-month gestation son is stillborn. So many people lost spouses, children, parents, and so forth during the 19th century. But Lilly's business failed. His partner left with what cash remained in the business, so he was saddled with the debt. He sent his son Josiah, his only son, to live with family in Greencastle, and in 1868 he finally had to declare bankruptcy. He then went to work for a wholesale drug firm and then a drugstore in Paris, Illinois. So this is not Eli Lilly's first brush with despair, terrible personal circumstances. But again, these experiences, I think, have a very formative effect on him. This is him writing back to his family after the death of his wife Emily and their 8-month-old unborn child to family in Greencastle. I can hardly tell you how it glares at me. It's a bitter, bitter truth. Emily is indeed dead. If you've ever lost someone close to you, you know you wake up mornings, weeks, months, maybe years thereafter, initially not realizing that that person is gone forever. And certainly Eli Lilly was struggling with that sort of experience. So in 1869, a year later, he marries a woman named Maria. Their son Josiah comes and joins them from Greencastle. They join in Illinois. Maria and Eli have a daughter whose name is Eleanor. She dies of diphtheria at the age of 13. Some of you may know there was a hospital in this city between the 1890s and 1908 called Eleanor Hospital. And that was in fact funded by Eli Lilly and named for their deceased daughter, Eleanor. That hospital's purpose, by the way, was to provide care for those unable to pay for their own care. So he comes back to Indianapolis, forms a drug manufacturer, and eventually is urged to start his own company by a colleague who says he will buy his medicines from Lilly if he starts a pharmaceutical manufacturer, as long as he agrees to pay them, sell them at a price lower than he's currently being charged. So now we come to Eli Lilly as industrialist. In 1876 at 15 West Pearl Street, that's just, we're practically there. That's where Eli Lilly first started. By the way, that building's been torn down. Doesn't exist anymore. His 14-year-old son Josiah comes to work for him as an apprentice, and they actually manufacture a number of useful medications. Perhaps most poetically, they make quinine, which is used to treat malaria, which, as you know, probably took the life of Eli Lilly's first wife, if you remember that. He eventually hires his brother James as his first full-time salesman. So James Lilly is Eli Lilly and Company's first full-time salesman. In 1881, they incorporate as Eli Lilly and Company, and then they buy property at McCarty and Alabama Streets, and anybody with even a vague acquaintance of Indianapolis knows what's at that location now, the headquarters of the world's largest healthcare firm. In 1880, he wants to prepare Josiah, his only child, son, to take over the business. So he sends him to the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy. And when Josiah comes back in 2 years, he's made the superintendent of the laboratory at Eli Lilly and Company. In 1890, he wants to focus on philanthropy. Remember John Wesley, stewardship, give all you can. Eli Lilly, the colonel, wants to focus on philanthropy, so he turns the company over to his son, who, by the way, is not a very old person. Josiah decides to create a permanent research staff. Some of you may know, I don't have time to tell this story, but their first director of research is Alec Clues. Maybe you've heard of Clues Hall. Alec Clues takes a train from Indianapolis Union Station on Christmas Day around 1920, goes to New Haven, Connecticut, where he hears a talk by a surgeon named Banting. Anybody know Banting?
Yeah.
Banting and Best?
Insulin?
The people who discovered insulin. Yeah. They didn't call it insulin, but they discovered insulin. Clues formed a relationship with Banting, saying the University of Toronto, where you work, will never be able to produce this drug at scale. You're going to need an industrial partner. That's Eli Lilly and Company in Indianapolis, Indiana. So that's kind of how insulin, by the way, that'd be a great subject for a talk on its own, how insulin came to Indianapolis. But anyway, having that permanent research staff made Eli Lilly and Company very open to new innovations and eager to partner with people who made important scientific discoveries. Of course, Frederick Banting wins the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of insulin. Lilly is known not only in Indianapolis, but regionally as a firm especially focused on quality. And it was Josiah Lilly's insistence that they would only sell potentially dangerous drugs to patients if a physician had ordered them. So this is the early days of what we would call prescriptions, prescription-only medications. Eli Lilly didn't want, nor did Josiah want people to be able to buy those medicines except with a doctor's advice. This is Elizabeth Hughes. She's the first child ever treated with insulin. She weighed 67 pounds as a young teenager, 67 pounds. Basically at the point of death. Her father was Charles Evans Hughes. Who was he?
Chief Justice.
Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court and Governor of New York. I don't have time to tell a story, but anyway, she goes on to live into her 70s and helps to found Oakland University up in Michigan. So she lives a very rich life. But insulin's the first of Lilly's blockbuster drugs, but later penicillin, Humulin, recombinant DNA. But you don't have to, I don't know whether you know this, but when insulin was being made from pancreases, we had train loads of cow and pig pancreases arriving from Chicago's stockyards on the south side of Indianapolis. It took a ton of those pancreases to make 1 pound of crystallized insulin. But with Humulin, all of a sudden, we can make yeast make insulin. They become our source of insulin. And we can make human insulin, which is identical to the insulin we naturally produce, as opposed to what we get from pigs and cows, which differed slightly. More recently, in the 1990s, Prozac, the first selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and now, of course, Zepbound, tirzepatide, getting a lot of attention as a way to lose weight, and it appears there are maybe a dozen or more other important health benefits of these GLP-1 agonists that include like Ozempic and Wegovy and tirzepatide. Anyway. Eli Lilly, also a very important philanthropist. He, in 1879, organized the Charity Organization Society. He was the person behind the creation of the Indianapolis Water Company. In 1890, he co-founded the forerunner of our current Chamber of Commerce. As I said, in 1895, started Eleanor Hospital, which lasted until 1908. In 1901, 3 years after his death, the Soldier and Sailors Monument was completed, but Eli Lilly was the moving force behind that. And if you go to the monument, down at the base, of course, is the Colonel Eli Lilly Civil War Museum. So something well worth visiting, perhaps today. I'm not sure it's open, but I'd like to think it is. So, we're right there. In 1937, J.K. Lilly, Eli Lilly, and J.K. Lilly Jr. On the shores of Lake Wawasee found what we know as the Lilly Endowment. Maybe the most significant day in the history of American philanthropy, that little family gathering at the family's compound on the shore of Lake Wawasee. But they found the Lilly Endowment. And as Eli Lilly later said, not the colonel, but the grandson, owing everything we are to the past and present generations, each of us must be willing to give unstinted help to others. And I think that's, in many respects, an accurate reflection of how the Lillys felt, both about their wealth and their responsibility to the community. That's J.K. Lilly on the left, Colonel Eli Lilly on the right, and then Eli Lilly as a child in the middle. So finally, last category, Eli Lilly is a Hoosier. He said in the 1890s he envisioned the future of our city. He said, "I see a city with sidewalks smooth and even, shaded by trees, kept in order by the city forever. Roadways are smooth, alleys kept clean, dust isn't known. The trash heap stores sweepings, the handbill feed, the open garbage cart and kindred evils are unknown. Sewerage system complete, water is pure. The sad and weary streetcar mule has made his last run, and rapid transit is everywhere. Beautiful parks are everywhere. The steam rails are elevated." So he had a vision for the city of Indianapolis, and he not only dreamed, but rolled up his sleeves and opened his wallet to try to make that kind of a vision a possibility. When he died, the Indianapolis News, a now defunct newspaper, had this to say: "The death of Colonel Eli Lilly, the state has lost a brave and gallant soldier, a distinguished citizen, a generous, public-spirited, and benevolent man. All good causes were sure of ready sympathy." Do people say that about you? Will they say that about you? You don't have his giving capacity, but are all good causes sure of your sympathy? He loved Indianapolis and everything that helped to build it up, to improve its condition, to make life easier and better for the people. He freely gave of his means. He gave more freely still of his personal endeavors. So he really focused the last 9 years of his life on giving, and not just writing checks, but actually playing a servant leadership role in forming organizations and helping those organizations to improve life for his fellow Indianapolitans. That's what you are. You've probably never heard that word, but that's what you are. You are an Indianapolitan. True fact. Nuts. Also in the Indianapolis News, there are few men whose loss can be so fully and truthfully considered as a loss to the community as Colonel Eli Lilly. He was a man who entered public affairs from thoroughly unselfish motives, guided in his efforts by a sincere desire to promote the welfare of his fellow men. There was nothing of false pretense about him, nothing of self-seeking, nothing of sordid or mercenary motives. Colonel Eli Lilly was a model man in every way. Again, we won't command the same wealth he did and his descendants did, but at least when it comes to character, conviction, service, we might in some way aspire to be his equal, or at least to live up to that kind of a tradition, some of the greatest traditions of this city and this state, what it means to be a Hoosier. I think Eli Lilly is in many respects a marvelous exemplar of that. So there's a great deal I haven't said, a great deal more that I haven't said that I have said, but this is an opportunity to get reacquainted with this incredible Hoosier and the difference he made in our community. And I hope you find revisiting his story as for some informative, but for all of us perhaps an inspiration. Thank you very much. Do we usually take questions or something like that? Yes, sir, please.
Terrific talk. I loved it. I used to be a trustee at Earlham College, and he gave the land for Conner Prairie to Earlham College to start Conner Prairie. He also made huge contributions to Earlham, as well as Wabash and DePaul, maybe others,
Yes.
that really built their endowments.
I think, the Lillys thought religion was very important, certainly thought that education is very important. I don't know what the total sum of money given by the Lilly family, Eli Lilly and Company, and especially the Lilly Endowment to educational institutions would be in the state. But it wouldn't surprise me if it exceeds the value of all other donations at least some of those institutions have received. It's substantial, at least. I mean, I'm speaking out of turn, but it's very substantial. They believed, I want you to know, I'm a K through 12 product, kindergarten through high school senior product of the Indianapolis Public Schools. And there's a lot of work to be done to try to improve the Indianapolis Public Schools. And I think that's something the Lilly family would see and be energized by. We're not often providing the best education we can to our fellow citizens and neighbors, and there are opportunities to make a big difference in that regard. I understand just from today that the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis is doing important work in that area, but Herman Wells, who was he? Yeah, president of Indiana University for 25 years. At that time, the youngest large university president in the United States when he assumed office. Later, chancellor. But he said, if you want to plan for a century ahead, it's through universities, through schools. You can plant rice, you can plant trees. That'll get you a year or a generation forward, but if you're really thinking a century ahead, education may be the best investment we can make. And I think Herman Wells was echoing a sentiment that ran deep with Eli Lilly and his son and grandsons. Other comments? Or yes, please.
When your first slide showed the endowment is very unique and being so large, but also having a huge percentage of their money in Lilly stock.
Yes.
Which is against all accepted practices
Yeah.
of portfolio theory. No one recommends that, but it's worked phenomenally well. And
Isn't
why
it
did
96%?
Yeah.
I think it's 96% of the Lilly endowment's corpus is held in Eli Lilly stock.
So it's worked very well. And did they mandate that? I've always heard that they said that from the beginning, that it has to be held that way. Do you know who mandated that and why they did?
I don't know if that's a mandate. We should invite Clay Robbins or somebody here to talk about that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they've done that for a long time. And of course, for the last 30 years or so, it's been brilliant, but there have been times when the Lilly stock, was in the doldrums for decades. So hats off to them for doing it. Right now, they look like geniuses.
I've always heard anecdote. I've heard one reason is it's a poison pill. It makes it hard for people to buy, for another company to buy Lilly. That's
Yeah.
one of the motivations. But Tom may know from your history with the Lilly family.
They've done some slight diversification over the years, but the stock has gone up so fast that they can't really diversify.
Yeah, assuming,
Can't give it away fast enough.
yeah, assuming let's say it's worth $90 billion, that means the Lilly endowment needs to disperse about $4.5 billion a year to maintain its nonprofit status. That's a lot of money to have to give away, and they don't have a huge staff. So they'd probably be delighted to get some good ideas from the Kiwanis Club about worthy causes to which some of those dollars could be directed. Please.
Our club has a great relationship with Salvation Army. Mike works there. And probably, 4 years ago or 5, the Salvation Army for Indianapolis got a phone call saying, we're giving you a bunch of money for operational expenses.
Yeah, who does that?
Over a 3-year period of time. You just don't hear of that.
No.
And it's because they've got the money and they need to distribute it.
Yeah. Yeah, my employer, Indiana University and Indiana University School of Medicine, have been the happy beneficiaries of that largesse on more than one occasion. Late in the year, the stock has done very well. There's not much time, and the medical school learns it's getting $150 million. I made up that figure, but anyway, this has happened more than once during my tenure on the faculty, and it's certainly a happy event. Please.
Richard, I am not a Hoosier, and I was not born and raised here. You've talked about a lot of things that I wasn't aware of today, although everybody knows the Eli Lilly company. But this is fascinating, and I love what this family stood for.
Yeah.
And everywhere since I've been in Indiana, everywhere I go, I hear about Lilly supporting this, and, you know, pretty soon you think they support everything. I know that's not true, but it seems like they have integrated into this city and this region and many other places as well. Because they were stewards. And when people don't really care about money as a self-aggrandizement of who they are, then they're able to accomplish things like this. And somebody who just died a week or so ago, Tim Turner, was very
Yeah.
much the same. He didn't care about money, and that's when you really can accomplish many wonderful things and change society.
Yeah, it's, it really is a remarkable story, and there's so much I'd like to say about that. But I think one lesson from it is not only to think of ourselves as the stewards of the resources that we temporarily shepherd, but I mean, I don't know if you've ever thought about this before, but surely there's nothing you would consider to be more fundamentally your property than your body. I don't know if you know this, but you're made of about 50 trillion cells. By comparison, you have about 100,000 hairs on your head. And in the time it takes me to say 100,000 hairs on your head, you just made 2 million red blood cells and released them into your bloodstream. We are fearfully and wonderfully made, and yet all the atoms of which we're made were once in oak trees and squirrels and Moses and Jesus Christ and Muhammad, you know, and Socrates and Thucydides and Sophocles. I mean, we are in fact perhaps even stewards of the very substance of which we're made. Understanding that scientifically, at least for me, turns out to be immensely liberating. All of a sudden, I don't have to be as afraid. All of a sudden, I don't have to be as cautious. I find that a very liberating idea. I think the Lillies were liberated that way financially, but we can become that liberated that way in terms of other resources that we possess in absolute equality with the members of the Lilly family. What's a resource that you possess in absolute equality with members of the Lilly family? And with Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Larry Ellison and Elon Musk. They've got a lot more money than you do, but there's a one thing that you have exactly as much of as they do. And the answer is time. They can't buy an extra second today. $1 billion won't buy them an extra second. You and I have exactly the same amount of time today as they do, and every day. And once you get into this kind of liberated mindset of, this isn't mine to hoard, to cling to, you know, till my dying breath. This is in fact ours to share. You know, we're here to contribute. That turns out to be immensely liberating, even in terms of time. I have to say, I'm delighted to come from Riley Hospital to give a talk at the Kiwanis Club. Is any money changing hands? No. I could be back there pounding out, you know, interpretations of CT scans and MRI scans. That's what I do. But, you know, when you think your time is a gift you can share, new possibilities come into view. And it turns out every day ends up counting for more. So I think that's at least consonant, at least aligned with the way the Lillies thought about things. And I think it could enrich all of our lives if we became a little bit more harmonized with that point of view as well. So thanks so much for your attention.
There's in fact an exchange of money happening. We're going to be making a donation in honor, in your name, to Pause and Think. Their Pause to Read programs are held at schools and libraries in central Indiana.
wow.
They offer young people the opportunity to connect with therapy dogs while practicing their reading skills.
Wonderful, thank you.
You get this.
That means a lot.
Lovely certificate of appreciation.
Wow, that is nice, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Because of both of our, Lilly and the Kiwanis Club of Indianapolis' long history, we have had moments of intersection. And Kelly brought this up to me. This is from our history, 100 Years of History book for the Indianapolis Club. In 1932, our club honored J.K. Lilly, Sr., son of founder Eli Lilly and Company, as the Indianapolis citizen who had contributed the most unselfish, outstanding, and heretofore unrecognized service to the community. Indianapolis Mayor Reginald Sullivan presented J.K. with the annual Star of Service Medal on behalf of the committee members chosen from the luncheon clubs and service organizations of the city. Thanks for bringing that up. That's great. Our next meeting is?
The third Thursday of June.
No, on Zoom?
No, so the next thing is the social supper on June 4th. That is instead of,
Social supper, June
Yeah.
4th,
and Speedway.
It's Speedway.
the
Yeah,
beautiful.
whereas.
May 29th at IU.
Perfect. Everybody, thank you for coming down, up to the Indianapolis Club and joining us today on your Thursday. Do truly appreciate you giving up a piece of your Thursday, and with that, we